Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for a brand new Chelsea news / discussion video about a couple of little topics that are ever so slightly more interesting than revisiting the 5-2 defeat to West Brom at the weekend. Although inadvertently, we're going to be visiting that match to talk about the positives to move forwards from such a humiliating, embarrassing, dreadful result. I'm not gonna lie, it totally ruined my weekend. It was still a decent weekend. Anything that came into my mind regarding football and so-called banter that people would throw in my way with a classic Instagram message or a WhatsApp ping, it was a little bit frustrating. I'm not gonna lie to you, but Chelsea have a massive week of football coming up. We've got Porto away in the first leg of a Champions League quarter-final, which if that isn't a good enough reason to get excited, then I will let you know about something else to get excited about. GBFC 2, my second channel, where if you want to hear me talking about things that are Chelsea orientated but with more of like a rounded footballing spin, then you should go and subscribe. The link is in the description below. I know that you guys can do this. If we can hit 10,000 subscribers over on GBFC2, then I'm gonna be a very happy man. You guys know how the saying goes. I'll leave a link down below. Go check it out. New video went up today, or is going up later today. And then Chelsea have the small matter of a trip to Selhurst Park, which is very rarely an easy fixture, but a big one in the race for the Premier League top 4 against Crystal Palace. Before I talk about how Chelsea react to what happened against West Brom, I want to talk about Tammy Abraham, a man who once again was left out of Thomas Tuchel's Premier League squad for the match at the weekend against West Brom. Now here's where I sit on this. A lot of people have been saying to me, do you rate Tammy? Do you care about Tammy? And I feel as though it's at a point now where I only talk about the players who are on the pitch and who are in the squad. And just because I'm not talking about Tammy Abraham or I'm not picking him, it doesn't mean that I don't rate him. When I make my team with the match previews for the game coming up, I always think about what I would like to see, what I think Thomas Tuchel is going to do and try and mould those two things together. In recent matches, Tammy Abraham's not really had a sniff. And I think it's getting to a point now where we look at, you know, the numbers, the stats regarding Tammy Abraham, and it's actually very impressive. Since he's been given Chelsea's number 9 shirt, he's done very well. He comes up with goals, he scores big goals. You remember that one he scored at the Emirates where we all went absolutely mental, as did I at the kickoff, and the away end was absolutely popping too. Recently, since Tuchel's came in, he has not even had a sniff. Because Olivier Giroud is on the bench, Timo Werner, despite him not firing really, he's in the starting 11, and then you've got players like Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Hudson-Odoi, Hakim Ziyech. Did I say Christian Pulisic? I should have done if I didn't. Pulisic as well. These players are suggestively further ahead of Tammy in those attacking role pecking order. It's at a point now where we're getting towards the business end of the season. Chelsea are competing in 3 massive competitions. The race for the top 4, Champions League, we don't need that one explaining anymore, and the FA Cup as well, as I stick my middle finger up inadvertently. And Tammy Abraham isn't getting a look in at this moment in time. It's been his dream to break into the Chelsea side, playing under Lampard, given the number 9 shirt, he starts scoring goals, and all of a sudden now, new manager comes in, and whenever a new manager comes in, whenever there's a squad as big as Chelsea's, with as much depth as this Chelsea team have, there's always going to be somebody who misses out as a result of that, whether the manager doesn't like something about the mentality or whether the manager doesn't rate the player in terms of what he does on the pitch. Thomas Tuchel, as with any manager in any interview will say, has been very diplomatic in the way that he's approached the situation with Tammy Abraham, saying it's simply a cause of selection where he's only got a set number of players he can have in the squad and Tammy Abraham doesn't make that cut. However, as footballing fans and people that like to study things and speculate as to what's going to happen as a result of the decisions that we see from the players and the managers on the field, it's beginning to look progressively likely that Tammy Abraham will probably try and look for a move away from Chelsea Football Club this summer. Now, a lot of people have said, do you even want Tammy Abraham to be in the team? Because a lot of people don't, for whatever reason, despite him scoring. And I actually think it's a massive shame that Timo Werner, as brilliant as he is, and as much as I back the guy to the rafters, and I still believe that he will be a major success at Chelsea, I do find it very frustrating that Tammy doesn't even get in the squad. So when it comes to actually making substitutions or picking players that can score Chelsea goals to win us football matches, when Timo Werner as the striker isn't scoring, it is frustrating to see a man who I personally love in Tammy Abraham not even get close to actually getting on the pitch because he's not even in the squad. So, do I think Tammy Abraham will leave this summer? I still think there's a lot of football to be played, and like I said in the 6 Things We Learned video from the game against West Brom, I think that result is going to change a lot of the selections and the choices that Thomas Tuchel makes, considering we conceded 5, which clearly suggests a defensive problem, but we didn't really look like scoring that many goals either. So when the top scorer for the last 2 seasons, I believe still, Tammy Abraham, isn't even in the squad, I think Tammy's now going to get himself an opportunity. And I think he probably will feature in the game against Crystal Palace at the weekend. So, do I want Tammy Abraham to leave? No. I still think he has a lot to offer. I think that his hold-up play has definitely developed over the course of the last 12-18 months. He is a goal scorer. His record is very good. And it would be a shame to see him leave. However, I also believe that Tammy is going to be thinking very heavily about a decision that will benefit his career and his progression. So, do I think Tammy is going to stay? No. I think unless his game time significantly improves between now and the end of the season, and assurances are made that if Chelsea do bring in an Erling Haaland or a Sergio Aguero, or Belotti is another man we've been linked with, I'll talk about him in a moment. If Chelsea do bring in another striker, then I think Thomas Tuchel really needs to put an arm around Tammy's shoulder and say, listen, you're going to be 3rd choice, but we still have a future for you here. And then it's up to Tammy to think, well, I could definitely make a move to another Premier League club. I've got a proven goal scoring record in this league, and there are definitely other clubs that are going in the right direction that would love to sign Tammy Abraham from Chelsea. I think Aston Villa would be a good one. So I wouldn't want to stand in Tammy's way as a fan. If he does look for a move, then I actually think it's a very smart decision for his playing time and the progression within his career. So, do I want Tammy to stay? Yes. Do I think he will? No, but if he gets a run in the team now, then maybe. But I think you'll see him move in the summer. Moving in to the second story of today's video, and that is regarding Chelsea's interest in 85 million euro rated Torino striker Andrea Belotti, the Italian who has had a pretty good season in Serie A this year. He's been one of those players who, I'm not going to lie, I always sign him on Football Manager. He's an absolute beast on that game, but we're talking real football here. As well, close as it is, Football Manager, it's getting a lot better. But Belotti is actually a very, very decent goal scorer. He's 27 years old. He's been playing in a difficult league, but not quite the Premier League. And again, it's one of those where, just like I said with Romelu Lukaku, Chelsea being linked to quality strikers with proven goal-scoring records is very exciting, particularly when you see that we're not really scoring a lot of goals, but Belotti is 2nd choice or 3rd choice behind Erling Haaland. So I've discussed that one plenty on this channel, so I'm not going to talk about Haaland anymore today because I've already rinsed it into the ground. We move into the final story of this video. That's not really a story as such, it's more my opinion on what Chelsea need to do to overcome that shocking result that we saw at the weekend. It's been a massive shock to the system, particularly when I looked at the fixture list this weekend and I saw Liverpool were playing at Arsenal, we've got West Brom at home, Spurs have got a trip to Newcastle but they should win, Spurs didn't win, Leicester didn't win, Liverpool did win, which I actually think is a bit of a problem that I will discuss in the video over on GBFC 2, so make sure you go check it out. And Chelsea missed an incredible opportunity to really make a statement of intent to continue moving forward with the momentum that we'd built. And now, all of those wonderful rosy stats that we had about Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea's brilliant defensive record have now been flushed down the toilet like a flipping baby wipe. It's bad, I was about to swear. And it's at a point now where I think Chelsea really need to show their character, which I know it's a word that is a very fluffy footballing word, but I think Chelsea really don't need to dwell on this result. As a fan, after the game, I rewatched back the 6 Things We Learned video, as semi-depressing as it was, And I was embarrassed, you know, I was actually really gutted about that result. But the way we have to look at it now is we have to put that to one side. We have to treat it as if it's going to be a one-off, because there's absolutely no more room for error. We cannot perform the way we did against West Brom in this game against Porto, otherwise we will knock ourselves out before the second leg ball is even kicked as we go for a look into the semi-final. And then Crystal Palace away at the weekend, they've not been that great this season either, but we know that isn't going to be easy. We need to put this game to bed. We need to stop worrying about it. Thiago Silva's came out and said all of the right things, pretty much apologising for the sending off. We know that it was going down to 10 men that was the biggest issue for Chelsea. My biggest issue with the game was that we seemed to switch off in terms of the knowledge of what we've learned under Thomas Tuchel. The things that we've been doing and progressing with all went out of the window. Defensive structure was appalling. Individual errors left, right and centre. We've got to put this one behind us. We've got a massive game coming up against Porto on Wednesday night. I'm going to be doing a video later on today that you guys will probably see tomorrow with Eunice, or maybe you see it later on tonight, where I'm going to talk a lot more about this Porto game and how we bounce back from that West Brom result. I think we will. I believe it was just a one-off, but I wanted to address it here because it's put a lot of us in a bad mood and a, you know, blaming the international break kind of mood for the last few days. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the Tammy Abraham story in the comments down below. As I said earlier, if you aren't yet subscribed to GBFC 2, love to ask you to do so. If we can hit 10K before the weekend, that will be absolutely wonderful. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you all tomorrow. Come on, you Blues.